Hi everybody, welcome back to Flat Water, Flat Earth. Today I'm presenting some evidence that a gentleman has provided to me, talking about his experience of visiting Antarctica. This is not the first time I've received a message like this. I've received a few of them. The last reading that I did of it had a terrible sound quality, so I'm going to reread it and see how it sounds. This gentleman is asking for assistance from material scientists in order to validate a sample that he has kept from his travels. I have seen the ice wall, from email redacted to Flat Water, Flat Earth. Hello, my name is David, and I am a witness to the ice wall. Since the unaltered facts described below could be used to ascertain my identity, I have changed certain details to protect against that danger. My background is a bit unusual. I graduated summa cum laude with degrees in economics and population studies, and later earned a Juris Doctorate from an Ivy League school. So what does one do with that kind of educational hodgepodge? I worked for a Fortune 500 company where I worked on, and later supervised, a team responsible for finding economically viable means to move product to and through some of the world's most remote and inhospitable locations. Some of the drops, as we called them, required creative solutions. Barriers to entry included everything like unreliable transportation channels and personnel, local warlords and pirates, local corruption and legal issues, adverse weather conditions, hazardous terrain, and basically every obstacle that you can imagine. In 2005, still relatively young, and almost 30, and having a taste for adventure, I applied for work at what was advertised to be a minimum 3-year assignment at an Antarctic research post. The job for which I applied was a human resources type job, and they were keen for someone with experience in the shipping industry. It wasn't a terrific fit for my experience and skill set, but it was close enough that I gave it a shot. I didn't hear anything back for 6 months after applying, and almost forgot about the application when I was contacted by someone who identified themselves as being from the US Department of Defense, and asked if I would be interested in consideration for something else. They told me that the work would still be in Antarctica, and that it would be a better match for my skill set. I was interested, so I sent them a packet of information they requested that was the size of a small phone book and submitted to a single-scope background investigation. I was eventually cleared, contracted, and told that I would be support for a team that is searching for microbes in hard-to-reach places. In 2006, I arrived in Springfield, Virginia for a pre-departure briefing. Entry required going through 4 checkpoints and a half-dozen pat-downs. There was a heavy military presence even inside the building, and I was escorted at all times. I can still remember the smell of the corridor as I walked down it at 07:30 to the briefing room. I entered the room where one other fellow was already seated at a large round table, a man named Mike. Mike was approximately my age. He had a MS in mechanical engineering, and his expertise was in bodysuit temperature regulation. If you needed to send someone into a sub-zero environment without them turning into an icicle, Mike was your guy. Other people started to come in and the seats eventually filled, 15 in all. 14 of us were male, and all of us approximately the same age. 10 of us were military or ex-military. Everyone's background was consistent with what you would expect from a team assembled for the purpose of performing a scientific exploration of Antarctica. I would later get to know all of these people well and consider many of them to be fine individuals. At 0800, everyone had helped themselves to the instant coffee left for us. A middle-aged gentleman, Tom, walked in and introduced himself as our project leader. Tom started by saying he had read each of our files and was so grateful for us taking this assignment. Yada yada. He then started a slideshow presentation. Slide 1 read Project Copernicus, the name of our assignment. The slideshow illustrated some of the early days of the project. We were one of 6 teams working under a task force, ultimately under the authority of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. He then asked the questions, why does an Antarctic research mission require its personnel to have top secret clearance? Anyone? In what was probably the first indicator that I was the troublemaker of the group, I answered, it doesn't. Tom darted his eyes at me with a bit of surprise in his expression, as though it was crossing his mind that I already knew what was coming next. But he continued, why would the teams working on such an assignment be compartmentalized? Why would its members be chosen individually instead of corporately? What does Antarctic exploration have to do with the security of the United States? Nobody answered. These questions had all crossed our minds, and we expected to eventually get answers, but we didn't expect to get asked those very questions from the man under whom we would be working. The answer, he said with some pause for drama, is that we're not here to explore the Antarctica that you studied in grade school. More pause for drama. I'm sure he was enjoying it. We're here to explore the real Antarctica. Tom flipped to the next slide, a map of a flat Earth, and the words, the Earth is flat. I laughed. In my mind, Others laughed as well, but I can't say whether I merely projected my amusement on them, or whether they were actually laughing as well. Tom clearly anticipated our reaction. Without a word, he flipped to the next slide. A photo of a battleship alongside an ice wall that dwarfed it by comparison. Next slide, a photo taken from approximately a mile in air, ocean at bottom against the ice wall, followed by an incredible empty vastness that eventually disappeared into darkness. Next came a video. It was a heavily bundled Tom, though a bit younger, walking atop the ice wall where it met the ocean, and narrating his observations. It appeared to be his first visit, later confirmed to be so, and he was expressing the surrealness of his experience. More videos, more pictures, more graphs, data, and explanations. The slideshow ended, and Tom told us that we would be supporting exploration beyond the ice wall. Well, to say that there was a lot of discussion at that point is an understatement. We didn't know if this was a joke or a test, if Tom was just a lunatic, or if we and everyone around us had truly been fooled all of our lives. I had been programmed, and this data did not work within the confines of that program. I had to see it for myself. 2 weeks later, I did. The team traveled by ship. The journey was incredibly long. The days kept getting colder. Eventually, we reached the wall. The first thing that struck me was that it was so irregular in height and shape. The illustrations and videos that Tom showed us seemed to illustrate a uniformity about it, but seeing it in person revealed that this wasn't the case. Some sections of the wall were sloped, while others were not. I would describe some areas to be 2 to 3 times the height of the Washington Monument, while others appeared to be much taller than that. On this particular visit, I did not leave the ship and therefore did not see things from atop the wall, but I can confirm that the wall is gigantic and appears almost infinite. This just scratches the surface of my experience and observations. While 99% of my work was performed from behind a desk, I saw things and learned things that would blow your socks off. The first question is whether the Earth is flat. It is. The second question is whether the world as we know it is surrounded by an ice wall. It is. The third question is what is beyond the ice wall. We have a tiny sliver of the answer to that question, and the little bit that we know is astounding. I've kept this to myself long enough. I'm tired of the lies. Mostly I'm tired of seeing the wrong people prosper because of those lies. I need help. I want to get this story out, and I need to do so safely. I'm not keen on being locked away for violating my security clearance. I expect to be vulnerable to harassment or harm by private individuals, foreign governments, and probably my own government as well. I'm writing this from a laptop that I purchased with cash 2 years ago and haven't used until earlier this week. I am in a parking lot outside a motel using their free Wi-Fi. I've gone over this message in my mind for years. I thought about posting to YouTube or sending it to media outlets, but I can't get myself into a situation where I've given up my freedom so that a total of 100 people can hear my story and disregard it. I am not a paranoid person, and I do not live my life in fear, but I don't believe in taking unnecessary risks. I knew that I might someday need or want sound evidence to back up my story. Photos can be fake, documents can be forged, witnesses can perjure. I'm not about to let myself be dismissed as a lunatic or a liar. So let me ask you, what would you do? I did something, and it doesn't involve photos. I have verifiable proof of my journey and where it led, but a premature disclosure or a release could undermine my ability to authenticate it. I hope to soon be in a position where I can disclose it. I don't enjoy being cryptic. As the operator of a YouTube channel, I am hoping that you could offer some suggestions for getting this story out. My goal is to use the audience to get attention, but also to find reputable and sympathetic chemists and material scientists with the knowledge and access to technology needed to perform a qualitative analysis of something acquired from beyond the ice wall. Please let me know if you can help. Thank you. David. End of message. So as I said earlier, other people have sent me messages similar to this before. When they did that, I didn't take the opportunity to record what they had sent me and keep it for posterity. So this time when this message came in, I thought that I had better keep a copy of it and share it with you guys. There is what David has sent me. I hope this was interesting to you and informative, if nothing else. Thanks for watching, guys.